Hello, teachers and staff. My name is Ms. Pagan. I am a fourth grade remote teacher, and I am also a virtual content specialist. In collaboration with the Division of Multilingual Learners, I'd like to present to you two scaffolds that you may utilize first to promote or build student agency with self-regulation prompts, and secondly, a Google form which you can utilize to track progress of your students. In this Unit 7A, Day 3, with the focus question of how can you draw and label a bar graph to represent data. You will notice in the Engaging Multilingual Learners suggestion page that in the final suggestion category, Build Student Agency By, the suggestion is including prompts that facilitate self-regulation in a remote setting. For that reason, I am providing a Google Jamboard using sticky notes that build student agency with self-regulation prompts. Also, you'll notice that the suggestion in engaging students with disabilities is to create a formative assessment to track and monitor progress using a Google form. For that reason, I'm also providing a Google form that will not only support your students with disabilities, but will help engage multilingual learners with an adapted tool and which will allow you to track the progress of your class. Teachers, first I'd like to focus your attention to the PowerPoint slides that are attached to this video. In each PowerPoint slide, you'll notice that simply click on the link below and it will provide for you a copy of the Google Jamboard. Or if you'd like a copy of the Google form, again, simply click on the link below and it'll provide for you a copy of the Google form. Teachers, I'd like to direct your attention to the Google Jamboard. In this Google Jamboard, you'll notice on the first slide that there is a sticky note and it says use these sticky notes as to-do steps. These are the self-regulation prompts that help students build agency, especially in a remote setting. When considering English language learners or multilingual learners, oftentimes a lot of text on a page can be confusing or can have students stop before completing a task. For these reasons, using the sticky notes allows them to focus their attention on the critical elements of this task, which is to draw and label a bar graph. Teachers, in the case that you have not used the Google Jamboard, I'd like just to draw your attention to the tools on the left-hand side. You'll notice that there is a pen tool. In this particular lesson, you might find very useful the paint tool, which is the final tool, which I utilized in the video that will also be provided to shade each bar graph using a different color. You'll notice the eraser tool, the select tool, the sticky note tool. In this lesson, I've provided self-regulation prompts using the sticky notes. You might consider to do so in the future for your lessons, or even use sticky notes as a feedback tool in a live setting or asynchronously. You can add images, use the shape tool, add a text box anywhere on any of these slides, and finally, my favorite, which is the laser tool. I utilize this especially in a live math session so I can draw the attention of multilingual learners to a key vocabulary or key aspects of the task. Teachers, I'd like you to just simply review slide 2. You'll notice here are the self-regulation tools. Each prompt focuses on a critical step to complete a bar graph. In the case that you like to edit any of these sticky notes, simply click on the sticky note, the 3 dots, and edit to place what you believe might be the most critical elements or steps students are needed to complete the task independently or remotely. Finally, teachers, you may click on the text tool to assist students to complete the title, the categories, or utilize the pen tool so that students are able to label each number on the number scale. Finally, I'd like just to show that in the Explore section, these tools can also be utilized, both the pen tool, the sticky note tool, or the text box tool to answer each of the questions. If students are working independently or if students are working with a partner, they can each place a sticky note. Or in my own remote setting, when this is a group page, Each group color represented by a sticky note shows the group effort on this Explore section. Teachers, I also would like for you to notice that there is an adapted Explore Google form that corresponds with this Google Jamboard. You will notice on this Google form that presently there is the same bar graph that the students are expected to complete. But in the case that they are struggling to complete the bar graph is already completed here on the Google form with the same self-regulation prompts present. You will also notice that there are multiple choice questions here instead of short responses. This can provide a support tool for English language learners or even students with disabilities to focus on the critical elements of the task, which is creating that bar graph and then interpreting the data. Finally, teachers, in the case that you have not used a Google form before, once the students have completed the questions, you notice on the top part there are responses. You may click on the response tab, and this will show each individual student what they have responded and also a summary. I love this tool because it gives me a quick item analysis of each lesson and allows me to see how students are doing in particular and also my class as a whole based on each question, so that in reviewing, I can review just the questions that they struggled on. Again, this is an adapted Explore section. So you will only see one bar graph with the questions that follow for that one bar graph. Minimizing the actual amount of the task allows students to focus just on those critical elements of labeling that bar graph, completing the bar graph, and interpreting the data. You may decide to have the students complete the Jamboard, and instead of writing the Explore section, use the Google form. Finally, teachers, this again, I have provided today one tool for engaging multilingual learners, which is including prompts that facilitate self-regulation in a remote setting using a Google Jamboard. And also the Google Jamboard is just so much simpler for students to color in when they're completing the bars instead of using the fill tool in this PowerPoint. And finally, I have also provided a Google form which you can utilize to track the progress of your students. Again, this is Ms. Pagan. I am a remote teacher and also a virtual content specialist. Please feel free to write comments on this video so that we can continue to best support you as you support your students.